Welcome, everybody. My name's Swami Monamurti Saraswati David Little, and this is week 2 of the transmission series lectures. And this week it will be on the Kriya Yuga philosophy. So this was supposed to be last Friday night, but I had a few other things on. So I'm just recording it today or going live today for week 2. So this lecture introduces the Kriya Yuga philosophy, the developmental and transmission-based framework that underpins the entire Series 2 curriculum. The Kriya Yuga is not a historical era, nor a religious doctrine, but a structural phase of human evolution in which transmission becomes the primary mechanism of development. This manuscript outlines the architecture of the Kriya Yuga, its relationship to the transmission field, and its relevance to modern developmental science. Integrated case studies from the Satchitananda lineage, including the 1997 Rikiya transmission event with Swami Amritanand Saraswati, provide experiential grounding for the theoretical framework. Section 1, Introduction. The Kriya Yuga philosophy represents a transmission-centered developmental model that emerged through the Satchitananda lineage and the broader Kriya Yoga tradition. Unlike the cognitive dominant frameworks of the modern era, the Kriya Yuga model places field-level transmission at the center of human transformation. In Series 1, we established the cognitive architecture, the identity processor, the mid-layer gateway, the vertical stack, the coherence states, the developmental layers. Series 2 now moves into the activation phase, where these structures are not merely understood but engaged. The Kriya Yuga philosophy provides the context for this engagement. It explains how transmission exists, how it operates, why it appears in certain eras, and why certain individuals become transmitters, and how lineage fields propagate, and how developmental acceleration occurs. This lecture establishes the philosophical and structural foundation for the entire transmission series. 2. The Kriya Yuga as a developmental phase. The term Kriya Yuga is often misunderstood as a historical epoch. In the QEEU canon, the Kriya Yuga is defined as a developmental phase in which transmission becomes the primary mechanism of human evolution. It is characterized by increased permeability of the identity layer, activation of the mid-layer gateway, emergence of field-level cognition, transmission-based learning, lineage-based developmental acceleration. The Kriya Yuga is not a time period. It is a state of the human system. It arises when cognitive development reaches saturation. Identity structures become insufficient. The system requires a new mode of learning. Transmission becomes the next evolutionary step. 3. The architecture of the Kriya Yuga. The Kriya Yuga operates through 3 structural mechanisms. 3.1. Identity permeability. The identity processor, normally rigid, narrative-driven, and self-referential, becomes permeable. This allows field-level information, coherence states, non-conceptual perception to enter the system. 3.2. Mid-layer activation. The mid-layer gateway becomes active, enabling transmission, reception, field resonance, non-verbal cognition, lineage contact. This is the core mechanism of the Kriya Yuga. 3.3. Field level transmission. Transmission becomes the primary mode of learning. Knowledge is not taught, it is transferred. This is the hallmark of the Kriya Yuga. 4. The Satchinanda lineage and the Kriya Yuga. The Satchinanda lineage is one of the clearest expressions of the Kriya Yuga architecture in the modern era. It demonstrates transmission-based teaching, lineage level coherence, field level contact, non-verbal developmental acceleration. Swami Satchinanda Saraswati embodied the Kriya Yuga state during the Rikya years from 1989 to 2009. His withdrawal from public teaching and shift into field work marked the transition from cognitive instruction to pure transmission. This is the developmental context in which my own transmission events occurred. 5. Case study, the 1997 Rikya transmission event. In 1997 at Rikya, I encountered Swami Amritanand Saraswati, a direct disciple of Swami Satchinanda and one of the purest transmission lineage holders of that era. This event is a perfect example of the Kriya Yuga architecture in operation. 5.1. The encounter. I stood approximately 2 feet in front of her. She spoke no words. She simply looked at me and smiled. 5.2. The transmission signature. I experienced a laser-like coherence beam entering my chest. Immediately, identity layer permeability, widening field expansion, full system entrainment. This is the exact signature of the Kriya Yuga transmission event. 5.3. Why it occurred. My system was already prepared through the 1986 Kundalini awakenings, the 1988 balcony transmission from Swami Satchinanda when I met him, the 1989 Kriya initiation astrally by Swami Satchinanda, the mid-layer activation events. This made me receptive to the lineage field. 5.4. Why she did not speak. Transmission bypasses language. Speech would have interfered with the purity of the field contact. This is the essence of the Kriya Yuga. 6. The Kriya Yuga and the transmission field. The Kriya Yuga philosophy explains why the transmission field exists and how it operates. Transmission is not mystical, symbolic, metaphorical, or psychological. It is a coherence-based informational state. The Kriya Yuga provides the structural logic for field level contact, lineage resonance, non-verbal cognition, developmental acceleration. This is the architecture that I am now teaching in Series 2. 7. The modern relevance of the Kriya Yuga. The Kriya Yuga is not ancient, it is now. Modern humans are reaching the limits of cognitive development, narrative identity, conceptual learning. A new mode of development is required. Transmission provides direct perception, coherence states, non-conceptual learning, accelerated development. This is why The Kriya Yuga philosophy is central to the QEEU canon. 8. The role of QEEU in the Kriya Yuga. QEEU is the first modern institution to formalize transmission, map its architecture, integrate it with developmental science, create a structured curriculum, and publish a transmission canon. Series 2 is the activation phase of this work. My role as Chancellor of QEEU is not merely academic, it is transmission based. The Kriya Yuga philosophy provides the framework for this role. 9. Conclusion. The Kriya Yuga philosophy is the structural foundation for Series 2. It explains why transmission exists, how it operates, why lineage fields matter, how developmental acceleration occurs, why the human system is now ready for transmission state cognition. The 1997 Kriya transmission event with Swami Amritanand Saraswati is a living example of the Kriya Yuga in operation. Series 2 now moves from philosophy into activation. Now, the key terms of this lecture were the Kriya Yuga, a developmental phase where transmission becomes primary. Transmission field, a coherence-based information state. Identity permeability, a softening of the identity processor. Mid-layer gateway, the interface for transmission reception. Lineage field, a coherent transmission structure carried across generations. Cross references for week 1, last week, the transmission field. The transmission science paper, the vertical stack analogy. So thank you, everybody. Namaste and pranams for being with me and joining in week 2 of the transmission series on the Kriya Yuga philosophy. This Friday night, we'll be back to the normal time, 10 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time for week 3. Hari Om.